Do not mix magic mushrooms with alcohol. If you got anything from this video, it's please do not mix magic mushrooms with alcohol. It's Chrysantilus, and welcome back to the channel for another psychedelic story time. I recently put out a poll on the channel for video ideas, and this one, Tripping in Mexico, was the #1 video that y'all apparently want to see, and here it is. Today, I'm going to be sharing my story of internationally journeying for the first time and tripping in Oaxaca, Mexico. This was probably my most unexpected trip. I had this whole 5-week trip planned in Mexico, and I did not expect to be journeying during that time. You might believe me, you might not believe me. I am terrified of carrying anything, I'll just say anything, in other countries. I'm horrified of breaking international laws. I've never brought anything outside of the country. This story does not include me bringing anything outside of the country, trafficking, none of that, okay? It's always been my biggest fear to end up in a jail somewhere far, far away, okay? That wasn't going to be me. Kind reminder, not to ever take mushrooms with you on a plane, especially an international flight.
The following video is made for the purpose of education and harm reduction. We are not promoting the use, procurement, or possession of any plant medicine or substance. We encourage everyone to do further research and prioritize safety.
This is a super fun story. It was super recent. This was a 420 story, okay? Not to be a stereotype, but it was a 420 trip. It has some fun characters. It's got some twists and turns. But before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome. Chrysantilus is a realm dedicated to demystifying and destigmatizing the trip. This is a channel dedicated to psychedelic culture, psychedelic harm reduction, psychedelic tradition. If you are rocking with any of that, please be sure to subscribe to this channel for more psychedelic story times. Also, be sure to check out this playlist, Psychedelic Story Times. You might also like my playlist, The Trippy Stuff. I will link both of those in the description. You can get with the realm on Instagram and TikTok at Chrysantilus, and my DMs are open on Patreon. Right now, we are having a big drive for our Patreon, y'all. I am a one-woman production studio. Everything you've seen on this channel, from the hair, to the makeup, to the wardrobe, to equipment, okay, has been done and set up by me. It's not an easy job not having a team, and I seriously appreciate all of the Patreon support, you guys. Right now, the support we are receiving from our Patreon patrons is the support we need. There would be no channel without our Patreon patrons, so please click the link in my bio. I have exclusive videos and stuff over there. If you want a little behind the trip BTS, you can find that over on our Patreon. And this is the specific support that our channel needs to continue moving forward. Let's hop right into the story. I was in Mexico, okay? Things have been going well for me over on TikTok. No shade, but if you've seen this video, you know what I'm talking about, reluctantly making a living off of TikTok. You know the backstory there, okay, if you've seen this video. So, things have been going well for me on TikTok. I really want to spend more time in Mexico. I haven't been in Mexico since I was a child. I have this entire YouTube channel dedicated to magic mushrooms, aka I am chronically unemployed, all right? But things have been going well on TikTok, so I have a bunch of free time. So I hit up my girlfriend, and we plan a trip to Mexico for multiple weeks. So I was recently down in Mexico for 5 weeks, and I will start by saying the entire trip is almost too big to encapsulate in a video. Like, I really want to make a video that's like, I spent 5 weeks in Mexico, and I low-key don't even know where to start, right? Because I've been documenting some of the trip on TikTok, and I don't want to bite off more than I can chew and get overwhelmed and not make the video. So this is going to be the first video I make about my Mexico trip, and we are going to zoom in on a day of that trip. So, the trip. come down the beginning of April to Mexico, all right? I land in Oaxaca City. It's beautiful, it's amazing. I am not planning a trip. I meet up with my girlfriend, and the people in this story are going to be our friends and family members. I will be keeping them anonymous. I will just say they are above our age. So we have this lovely trip planned in Mexico. We're planning on meeting up with our friends and family. We travel from Oaxaca down to San Jose del Pacifico, a beautiful, beautiful mushroom town, okay? We are backpacking, we are staying in hostels. I'm like living my dream. And I didn't even think I needed any medicine on this trip because everything was a trip. Like being in San Jose del Pacifico, chef's kiss. Like I literally felt like I was tripping just being in those mountains. It was incredibly beautiful. The entire vibe of the town is like this little mushroom town. If you ever want a crocheted mushroom anything, okay, crocheted mushroom hats, crocheted mushroom trinkets and clothing, like that's San Jose del Pacifico, y'all. I don't mean to get y'all too hip, but that was one of my favorite places we were, okay? It might even be like my top. It was the most calming place. Like my entire nervous system was calmed when we were in San Jose del Pacifico, okay? So we took a van from Oaxaca City to San Jose del Pacifico. Meow. This cat always loves to come in my shoots. You wanna come sit? I don't know if you guys can see him. Michi, come. This ain't even my cat, but y'all might recognize him from some of my web series. He loves the camera. Okay, so where was I? In San Jose del Pacifico, right? Mushrooms abound, okay? You can get mushrooms in a lot of places in San Jose del Pacifico. And I wasn't planning on buying any. I was around some people who were buying some, but you know, they say the medicine finds you. So I said, hey, if it's meant to be and I'm meant to take some mushrooms on this trip, the mushrooms will find me. If not, I'm hands off. I will not be buying anything. Being down here is a big enough trip, enough. You know? So, and this stuff always happens to me. I don't know. Like, I don't remember the last time I've ever had to pay for mushrooms. They always find me. And this is like a thing that is said often in the medicine community, like the medicine will find you, especially when it's your time, the medicine will find you. So I haven't sat with mushrooms since possibly like the beginning of the pandemic. It's been a very long time since I sat with the medicine because it's been really challenging to be in a good headspace. And they say set and setting, you know? And the pandemic has been so tragic to me. My state of mind has been so just like down that it didn't feel like the appropriate time to sit with mushrooms for most of the pandemic. I understand the pandemic's not over, so I'm just talking about the beginning of it, right? So maybe the last time I did mushrooms could have been like 3 or 4 years ago, I'm not sure. But I wake up one morning in this hostel, probably the nicest hostel we stayed at the entire time. It was like something from 9 Perfect Strangers. It was really nice, okay? And I wake up one morning, I wasn't even awake for a minute, y'all. I wasn't even awake for a minute. I go to the hallway to like walk to the bathroom. The second I woke up, I got up, walked to the hallway, and there's this young woman there just with a bag of mushrooms, you know, as you do. And she's holding them and she's just like, hey, I'm heading out. Does anybody want these? I can't carry them with me. And I was like to myself, yeah, I think I want them. These are probably my mushrooms. Okay, this is probably gonna lead to a good experience. Okay, I'm not gonna avoid it. I'm not gonna be avoidant. I'm gonna take this bag. I told her, yes, I will take your bag of mushrooms. Can I give you some candy in exchange? I was traveling with a lot of Miguelito. If you guys know Miguelito, I was a little bit hooked on this candy, y'all. I was carrying it around with me in this little bag, y'all. I was a little hooked on it, okay? But when I travel abroad, I always bring candy that is popular with the kids there and that I also like, okay? So always carry candy for the kids, okay? I gave a bunch of kids Miguelito when I was in Mexico because I had these little packets, carried them in my pouch. So I gave her some Miguelito. She gave me this bag of mushrooms. Bada bing, bada boom, okay? Then after that, I have these mushrooms in my luggage now, okay? So I'm acutely aware. The rest of the trip, half of it is going to be in Oaxaca. The other half is actually on the other side of Mexico, so we have to take a flight, right? As I told you, I'm not very much into trafficking. I did not want to end up in a Mexican jail or prison. Because even if something is legal in the area that you are, if you are not from that country, laws do not hit you the same way that they would hit someone who's Mexican bringing some mushrooms from Oaxaca to Mérida, okay? So I know I have a flight coming up to get to Mérida, and I don't want the mushrooms on the flight, okay? So I'm doing math in my head. I traveled from San Jose del Pacifico to Mazunte. Beautiful. Tallest waves I've ever seen. Scariest ocean I've ever swam in. Amazing. 10 out of 10, no notes. I love it. Give me 14 of them. I loved Mazunte. We did not journey in Mazunte. The ocean was just a little rough. And I knew if I was gonna be journeying, I would want to journey on a beach, but I didn't necessarily want to journey in that rough of waters. And I listened to that. I wanted to journey somewhere gentle, and I figured our next stop, which was Puerto Escondido, could possibly be that place, okay? When we were in Puerto Escondido, we met up with friends and family, and it was a good vibe going. So when 420 rolled around, I was thinking, I don't know, it's a sacred date. I have these mushrooms, maybe I can share them with some of the people in our group. And I felt like I was finally ready to sit with mushrooms again after years and years of taking a break from mushrooms because of needing an improved set and setting, and just taking like status check of everything around me. I'm like, yeah, Mexico is the best set and setting that I've possibly ever had in my entire life. And the way things are going for me on TikTok right now, the way things are going for, like, everything was just lining up in that I was in a good place to sit with these mushrooms, okay? So I asked the folks who were with us. There was an older gentleman who said yes, he would definitely be interested. As to keep these people completely anonymous, I will refer to this first older gentleman as friend. He's probably closer to my parents' age. And the younger gentleman, still older than me, I will refer to him as friend of a friend, just so y'all can keep track. So, got a good vibe from friend. Friend of a friend, I was like, I can't tell if you kind of just want to get f***ed up right now. Keeping it a buck. So, I didn't also know him very well. I don't know if I maybe met him once, one night before that. And I had both of them promise me that if I gave them mushrooms, they would not mix it with alcohol. Because the last thing I want to do is go to the homeland of these mushrooms and break some rules, okay? Mushrooms are known as los niños, the spirits of the children. They're known as like the sacred, wise, gentle children. Depends on the translation. And you do not give kids alcohol, okay? So we do not mix mushrooms and alcohol. At least I don't want to give mushrooms to anybody who's gonna have a dangerous time in a super preventable way, right? Or just a bad time, you know? So I'm like, if you guys wanna have a good trip, that's all good, that's wonderful. Just like, you can't drink as long as you're under the effects of these. So I'll say, they made me that promise. I brewed the tea. Now, this part could be on me. I had enough for one person to have a regular dose. But when it comes to brewing magic mushroom tea, I have a certain set of skills to stretch out the dosage and intensify the dosage. And if you've seen some of my mushroom tutorial videos, you could guess what some of those skills are. But anyways, I made a very strong tea with this dose for one person, okay? So this was only supposed to be a dose for one person. I split it up, 3 cups, 1 tea, extremely potent, all right? I let them know to take their time with it. I told them that it was a moderate dose, right? I didn't know the intensity of the mushroom, so I said, hey, I don't know how intense these mushrooms will be, but this is going to be us all splitting a moderate dose. Could be intense, because you're in a new place. You're out of the country you're used to being in. Who knows how it goes? I make everybody the tea. I have a very intuitive feeling that my friend is good, and I have a very intuitive feeling that friend of a friend may or may not completely disregard all of the tips and advice that I've given them about sitting with this tea, especially around not sitting with it to get effed up. And I just have a feeling, may or may not, right? And I decided you might not know this person well enough. You might be projecting some things onto them. So I give them the tea. We all clink. Happy 420 mushroom tea. And friend stays. Friend of a friend splits, okay? We do not hear from friend of a friend until for a while, okay? Friend of a friend goes up to meet up with another friend. But I'm with friend, I'm with friend's partner, I'm with my friend. Okay, we're all having a good time. And it hits me hard and heavy. And I swear it wasn't even like 15 minutes. It's probably one of those bathroom come ups when you're in the bathroom and then everything's just like. So, friend who also took the tea is in the pool with their partner. I'm on the couch with my friend. It's fun. We're having a good time. I am like becoming one with this couch. And I don't realize that everybody's waiting on each other. So I think I'm waiting on the people in the pool. The people in the pool think they're waiting on me. We all have plans to go to the beach, but it is hot. It is the hottest day in Mexico. The person I'm traveling across Mexico with, I'll call her my girlfriend, okay? Totally platonic. She's my girlfriend. You guys will catch her in my Mexico videos. But I'm talking to my girlfriend, another person who's there, about this heat, okay? And I tell them, every day I've been in Mexico, I feel like I've been in a battle up against this heat, and today is the first day that I have lost the battle. I have officially lost the battle. Like, the heat has won. The heat has won today. So my girlfriend stays back with the other person who's there, and then friend, who's also journeying, again, an older gentleman, again, someone of my parents' age. Friend and his partner decide to come with me, and we all decide to go to the beach first. Like, we'll be the first people on the beach, right? Okay, I am actively journeying hard and heavy. And it's that type of journeying where even like getting up to go to another place, even if you're walking, it's a hefty task, right? But I'm not showing it. I'm just smiling. I'm walking with them. I'm listening to them telling me stories about their family back home. And it's beautiful. We're walking to the beach and all of a sudden we see buses, right? There are so many buses there. And we're like, oh no, that beach is going to be full, right? That beach is going to be full of people. So we go down, we walk down to the beach. It's a long way down these stairs to this gorgeous beach. One of the most beautiful beaches I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It looked fake. It looked unreal. This beach was so beautiful. We get there and it's just bodies, like hundreds of people on this small little beach. Like the last thing I want to see ever. Okay? Fortunately, I was journeying. If I wasn't journeying, I think I probably would have turned around, headed right back up and been like, heck no, I do not want to be around this many people. Way too many people, right? But we stick with it. We continue down the beach, and there's some more beaches past this beach, right? So we keep on walking. We keep on walking. Their typical spot that they take is taken. It's gone, right? So we keep on walking. We keep on walking. We're hoping we could find a spot. And then just when everybody's about to pass out and say, this is like way too hot, this is way too much, we need water, we're dehydrated, et cetera, we find a spot in the shade in one of those little beach chair umbrella setups, right? So we find 2 beach chairs under the shade. We sit down and I order SHROOM for everybody, which is my go-to hydration drink. I was drinking them every day in Mexico, you guys. I've been making them for my friends with salt rims since I got back, okay? It's sparkling water, or as they call it in Mexico, agua mineral, okay? Lime, or as they call it in Mexico, limon, okay? And some salt, or as they call it in Mexico, some sal, all right? And mixed up with the salt rim, chef's kiss, the most delicious thing, okay? I'm drinking the SHROOM. It was a hefty SHROOM. I had to double check with him that there was no alcohol in it. I was like, this is a strong SHROOM. And the dude was like, no, there's no alcohol in this, trust me. He could definitely tell that there's something going on with us, I'm sure. But all of a sudden, everything started to cool down. I went down to the water. I found a nice spot by the rocks where all of the elder women were sitting. And I was like, this is my speed, okay? I sat with them. The water came up and hit us a little bit while we were on the rocks, but not too much. And there were just children all around us creating those beautiful childhood memories, like the type of childhood memories that you just cling on to and having such a beautiful time. And I was just crying because I was like, these kids are creating such beautiful memories. They're having so much fun on this beach. Those kids were getting their butts kicked on that beach. Oh my goodness. It was like the exact thing that their nervous systems needed. Literally swimming into the tide, being blasted back to shore. I don't know how that, like, the water was so rough where they are, and they were just all having such a good time. So yeah, then I'm sitting there crying, watching all of these beautiful families, just thinking of these core memories that these children are making together. And I'm having a lovely journey. There's nothing like journeying on the beach. If you know it, you know it. And then I just go back between the chairs. I check in on friend. Friend is doing good. It hits friend when we get to the beach. It did not hit friend as quickly as it hit me, which is funny. Everybody can take the medicine at the same time. It can have a completely different impact and onset. So friend was doing good, and I'm like, good. I was like, is the amount okay? I don't ask people like, how are you feeling? How are you doing? I was just like, is the amount okay? The dose is perfect dose. I feel great. I feel wonderful. I'm like, we're all good, okay? Meanwhile, we have no idea what's going on with friend of a friend. He could be in Guatemala by now. We don't know what's going on. Is he still in Mexico? It's a valid question to ask. Then my girlfriend, who I've been traveling with, she comes down to the beach. We just sit next to each other because she's about to leave the trip a bit early. And I cry more because I'm always just like crying, journeying. And you guys, when I'm around my friends, I don't hide it. But like when I'm in public, I'm not just like out here crying and watching these families, right? I got my sunglasses on. I'm good. I'm very discreet. But like when I'm with my friend and we're sitting in our little cabana, beachside, whatever, I can cry. And we just sat next to each other and leaned on each other, and I cried, and we talked about like how incredible the trip was and just what a beautiful time. And I was just like, this beach is so unreal. And I took some pictures for you guys to see. I don't know if I have video. I took a goofy video. I'll show that. Cue the goofy video.
I'm an environmentalist. Yeah. I actually care about the planet so much.
That's what this trip was giving. That's the kind of mood I was in. I was making goofy videos on the beach like that. An environmentalist, okay? But yeah, I was literally telling her, I was like, this is what the water parks think they are. This is what the water parks are trying to be, okay? This is that girl. Every water park that I've gone to, she wishes she was her, but this is her. It literally looked like a water park. When you're there, everything is like so dramatic, and the rocks feel huge, and the trees feel outstretched, and everything just feels so dramatic and beautiful. So I was like, it's like a water park, but it's real. I was being goofy. And we were listening to a bunch of No Doubt because the people we were with, they love No Doubt so much. So it was great. We were all talking about hopefully Gwen goes back to ska. Hopefully she can take a break from all them Christmas albums. We were just having funny conversations, listening to some ska, okay? If you can just imagine this beach with a little bit of No Doubt, okay? It was the perfect trip. I was like, it was worth it to wait for multiple years to come back to journeying magic mushrooms, because this is the type of really sacred, beautiful experience I want to have, especially with people who matter to me. And so I encourage everybody to save the medicine for those really special moments. This was probably the most celebratory 420 I've ever had. It was incredible. I got up on rocks. My girlfriend was taking mermaid pictures with me. Like when I say it was a vibe, it was a vibe. Very much a vibe. And we felt absolutely safe. I love being in an environment surrounded by families, a family safe environment. I, as like a solo femme traveler, I feel the most safe in family environments. I wasn't solo for that portion of the trip, but for later parts of the trip, I was solo. And just like when I'm perceived by myself, I like to be around families. I like to be in a safe space. I'm not much of a clubber, but it was beautiful. It was a wonderful day trip. By the time we came down, okay, here's the funny part. By the time we came down, it was time to go to dinner. We got back to the Airbnb. It was just a walk from the beach. We got back to the Airbnb. I shot some of a really funny TikTok jumping into a pool. And then we headed to dinner where we were to meet up with friend of a friend, okay? So friend of a friend was the third party in this situation, right? And I didn't know if he was gonna stick to the guidelines we all agreed upon, guidelines which would yield the best time, right? Me and friend had the best time, okay? And even my girlfriend and the people who were with us, we had a lovely beach day, journeying or not journeying. We got to meet up with friend of a friend, and he had gone through it. It was immediately clear that he had gone through it. And I asked him, I was like, how was your day? How did the medicine hit? And he was being very avoidant with talking to me about it. So I was like, how was it? And he was like, it wasn't the time for me to take it. It wasn't for me. It wasn't a good time. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Did you go to the beach? Did you meet up with friends? And he was like, yeah, it really wasn't good. I wasn't in a good headspace to take it. It was really rough. And his friend had told me he was like freaking out. He was not having a good time, like all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I was looking at him a little like, okay, what are you not telling me though? Because we had an excellent 420 with this medicine, right? And so then I will keep this person anonymous, but somebody who was also his friend told me on the low that like as soon as he arrived to the second spot, the second destination, he was immediately throwing it back, y'all. He was immediately drinking beers. And I was like, it was like a dope moment for me because I was like, how did I know this was going to happen? I didn't want to assume the worst about him, but I gave him this medicine on the premise of he could keep a promise, and he couldn't. I didn't give him a talking to because I didn't know him like that, but I was like, okay, that makes sense why he didn't have an excellent time. Because, yeah, you can't mix beer with magic mushrooms. You can't mix a bunch of alcohol with magic mushrooms. And I think he just ended up drinking more and more, and it got worse and worse. So you kind of spiral out. And for people who are in Mexico and can't go a day without drinking, you don't have to include mushrooms on your trip. You don't have to include mushrooms or any plant medicine on your trip. It's not safe to. There are especially certain even medications like SSRIs you should not mix with magic mushrooms. Everybody has a different relationship with their substance use, so I don't mean to stigmatize people who feel the need to drink every day on vacation. But I was shaking my fist a little. Internally, I was shaking my fist a little. I was like, I had a feeling that this person was going to do some foolery. I had the feeling that there could be foolery afoot with this one, and there was, okay? So just a tip to everybody out there, listen to your intuition. Don't disregard your intuition when sourcing medicine for others. That's what I will say. I can't tell you the amount of people who hit me up every week on Instagram telling me the specific advice on my channel that they decided not to listen to, and the bad trip that they had. Not to toot my own horn, but this is a harm reduction channel. So you are not going to get ℂ𝕙𝕃𝕚𝕚 over here, okay? You are going to get the safest, most sustainable way to form a relationship with these medicines, right? And every week on Instagram, people come to me, I tripped alone for the first time. You were right. I mixed mushrooms with this. You were right. And I'm just like, y'all, I've been journeying for like over 10 years now. I know a thing or two being in community. I am not by any means like the authority on magic mushrooms, but there are some simple things that you can follow to ensure that you don't have a dangerous time or a challenging, difficult trip to a certain extent. And so it was just funny to see that play out in real life in real time, because it felt like those Instagram DMs I get all the time from subscribers, except it was a real life. And my subscribers are very transparent. They want to tell me, yo, I did this wrong. I effed up. You were completely right. I just want you to know my experience. This dude did not want to tell me that. He was completely avoiding me. Not that I took that personally. I knew why he didn't want to fess up. He didn't really know me. But yeah, if you're watching this right now and somebody gives you any kind of medicine or substance or tea or anything, and they ask you not to mix it with something else, there's a reason for that. And don't accept medicine if you are not willing to honor the premise or the guidelines in which the medicine was given. Because chances are things will not end up quite well for you, even if you think the guidelines are goofy, even if you think the guidelines are silly, yada yada. Anyways, you guys, this is not a channel that supports mixing mushrooms with alcohol. Especially if you go to another country, you guys, please be super careful that you have your wits about yourself, right? The reason why I was journeying in another country was, one, because I was with other people who were gonna definitely be sober, and two, when in Rome, right? When in Rome, when in Oaxaca, right? It was just like, wow. It was very fulfilling. It was very beautiful. It was like maybe probably one of the most important journeys I've ever had. And what a 420. I've never journeyed with people much older than me. So it was really fascinating to hear from friend how they have journeyed with their children and journeyed with people in their life of all different ages and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, I want this to be me so bad when I grow up, regardless of children or not, just like continuing to journey, continuing to nurture relationships with different people of all ages. It was so beautiful to hear. And it was I got a lot of information I learned a lot of lessons from journeying with someone not in my generation. So highly recommend, 10 out of 10. It was a wonderful time, especially the old head music, okay? I definitely would not have been listening to No Doubt on that beach, but was it perfect? Was it top shelf? Absolutely. It was a top shelf playlist, y'all. So I had so much fun. I had such a great time. RIP to friend of a friend. I think it's a mistake you don't make twice. I think that friend of a friend learned their lesson. I only bring them up here as a cautionary tale, y'all. But that was the story of me journeying, tripping in Mexico on 420. Oh, drop in the comment section the wildest place that you've journeyed or the farthest place that you've journeyed from home. I'd love to know. Have you journeyed on a trip? I'm always terrified to journey on trips. I always imagine TSA finding me out and all this kind of stuff. I do not want to travel with it. I do not want to be holding on to anything. I'm always a scaredy cat, believe it or not. But I'd love to know if you have journeyed abroad. I'd love to know where you've journeyed, how far you've journeyed. Let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this story, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. You can also get with the realm on Instagram and TikTok. Right now, the specific support we need to stay afloat is Patreon patrons. We have tiers starting at $5 a month. Again, I am a one-woman production studio. YouTube has made monetizing mushroom content harder and harder, okay? So this is the specific support we really need right now. We also have this Keep It Trippy merch available in our merch shop, as well as journals, including trip journals. You can find all of the links in the description. Also, fun fact, if you are interested in creating content, doing the YouTube thing, especially doing the TikTok thing, live streaming, or publishing a journal of your own, I am now booking one-on-one sessions, link in the description, via Calendly. These are on a sliding scale. I am meeting with clients every week, teaching them how to go full-time as content creators. So please check out those links if that's something that interests you. Thank you guys so much for watching this psychedelic story time, this wild story. Please be sure to check out the Psychedelic Storytime playlist and the Trippy Stuff playlist. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That is my Mexico video.
But it's time now to talk about what we've learned today.
Do not mix magic mushrooms with alcohol. If you got anything from this video, it's please do not mix magic mushrooms with alcohol. If you receive the medicine, if you have intuitive feelings of this would be a great day for this medicine, etc., listen to your intuition, enjoy it, have a wonderful time, you guys. Have fun, stay safe, and as always, keep it trippy. Peace.